What was the original 1950s chicken noodle soup recipe? Have you ever wondered what made chicken noodle soup a beloved dish in the 1950s? This comforting meal was a staple in many American homes, especially during chilly days or when someone was feeling under the weather. Let's take a closer look at the original recipe that captured the hearts of families back then. The foundation of the 1950s chicken noodle soup was a rich, flavorful broth made by simmering a whole chicken or chicken parts in water. This method created a nourishing base filled with natural chicken flavor and nutrients. To enhance the taste, vegetables like carrots, celery, and onions were added. These were often sautéed or tossed directly into the broth for added texture. Now let's break down the ingredients. You would typically start with a whole chicken or bone in pieces such as thighs or drumsticks. Leaving the skin on helped to add richness to the broth. For the vegetables, finely chopped or sliced celery, carrots, and onions were essential. Sometimes, these were sautéed in a bit of fat or oil before being added to the broth to deepen their flavor. Herbs and seasonings played a key role too. Common choices included bay leaves, thyme, salt, and pepper. A touch of garlic might also be included for extra flavor. The broth itself was made by simmering the chicken and aromatics in water for about 1.5 to 2 hours. This long cooking time allowed the broth to develop a deep, savory flavor. When it came to the noodles, wide egg noodles were the preferred choice. These were added toward the end of cooking and simmered until tender. For a fresh finish, cooks often stirred in fresh herbs like parsley or dill just before serving. The cooking method was quite straightforward. Chicken pieces were simmered gently in water along with onions, bay leaves, and herbs. Any foam that formed on the surface was skimmed off to keep the broth clear. After cooking, the chicken was removed, and the meat was shredded or chopped, while bones were discarded. The broth was then strained to remove solids and returned to the pot. Vegetables were sautéed separately and added back to the broth, which was seasoned with salt and pepper. Finally, the shredded chicken and noodles were added and cooked until the noodles were tender. This recipe was not just about flavor, it was also practical. It served as a one-pot meal that was both economical and nutritious. Families could use the whole chicken, maximizing flavor and nutrition while providing a warm, soothing dish. Making the broth from scratch allowed cooks to control sodium levels, steering clear of canned soups or bouillon cubes. Often, this chicken noodle soup was served with crusty bread or rolls, and sometimes accompanied by a simple green salad for a complete meal. From a nostalgic perspective, this dish embodies the home-cooked comfort food tradition of the 1950s. It reflects the era's emphasis on wholesome ingredients, family meals, and the art of slow cooking to bring out natural flavors. The straightforward approach and reliance on fresh produce highlight the culinary values of the 1950s household.